how to grow and increase your impact. Ostensibly, this could be for people that want to make more income, want to make more money or more time freedom, take the next step in their career. But I really don't believe that it's limited to that. So if your pressing goals are around like improving as a musician or improving relationships or improving your health, I encourage you to go through this entire exercise and just substitute those things wherever appropriate. So the premise of this is that the secret to growth and changing those results isn't just the tactics and strategies, but it's about you becoming the person who can support those new results. And by practicing leadership skills and then applying those to whatever activities, marketing and sales if it's money, but it could be practice, it could be relationship, dialogue. So how do we practice leadership? We honor our promises that we make to ourselves. So you've probably heard this, some of these things before, but I believe this is going to be worth it for you. So you honor the promises you make to yourself, right? We all break promises to ourselves probably every day, right? Most people. I don't know, maybe Mother Teresa didn't, but so we honor promises we make to ourselves and we lead by example and we help our clients see the version of themselves that they want to become. We want to live out the standards of the person that we're becoming. And there's a quote that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. You fall to the level of your current habits, your current systems. So what habits and standards are we living now and what do we want to have them be? So here's how we're going to start with the writing. Your current self, part one. How would you describe yourself in 3 sentences or less? And I'm going to make this pretty quick, but I want you to write. Just first thing that comes top of your mind. It doesn't have to be perfect. How would you describe yourself in 3 sentences or less? I'm going to give you like probably 10 seconds. Then I'm going to move on. And you can come back to some of these if you want. What was the instant when you knew you wanted to be a musician? Or if you would rather substitute something there, when you knew you wanted to be married, when you knew that, you wanted to be a parent, I don't know. But I'm going with what was the instant that you knew you wanted to be a musician? Describe that moment and or write a short story about it. Just first thing that comes to your mind. Next, when did you realize that you wanted to become a teacher or to do whatever job that you want to do? To be a married musician. This question is really for someone who wants to build their business as a teacher. But let's say, what was the moment you decided you wanted to be a professional musician, or that you wanted to start this business that you have, or the business that you're starting, or the new role that you're taking on this new phase of your life? When did you realize you wanted to take on this new role? Describe it briefly, write a quick story. 10 seconds. Why is it important to execute at the highest level possible when it comes to your current goal? Why is it important to you to execute at the highest level possible? First of all, what are the selfish reasons? Is it because you want more time, you want more money, you want more freedom, quality of life for yourself or the people that are most close to you that you're responsible for? your children, your partner. These are the selfish reasons. Be selfish. We'll get to the unselfish reasons later. Do not discount the selfish reasons. A lot of people, they lean away from this. You need to lean into this. What are the selfish reasons for you? What do you want? Whatever comes to your mind, just put it down. Pearson, you just jumped in. You're welcome to copy down the question we're working on. Why is it important to you to execute at the highest level possible? And first of all, the selfish reasons. And now let's go to the unselfish reasons. What is the contribution? Why is it important to execute at the highest level possible for you? The unselfish reasons, the contribution you want to make. Is that to the people you care about? Is that to your community? Is that to your field? Is that to the universe? Is it to a cause, to future generations? What are the unselfish reasons? To make the world a better place? Why is it important, urgent, to execute at the highest level that you are capable of executing at? First thing comes to your mind, just write it down. By the way, I don't care if you're using a pencil and paper for this and you write down the question, or if you're typing into a doc. Okay. How would random strangers gossip about you? How would they gossip about whatever aspect of you is relevant right now, is germane? If it's your career and you do a lot of marketing content online, what would they say about your marketing content? How would random strangers gossip about you? What would they say about you? Anything that you think that they would say about you. It's whatever comes to your mind. What anxieties, traumas, or negative self-talk are holding you back? First, let's just identify them. Just identify, just put them out there. This is just for you, by the way. You don't have to share this with anybody. Certainly don't have to share it with me. What anxieties, depressions, traumas, or negative self-talk, or scripts, or stories are holding you back? What is something challenging that you can take responsibility for right now? Or maybe there's a few things that are challenging for you. Hardships, complaints, grievances, obstacles. What are some of these that you can take responsibility for? And if it's something you can't fix, bear in mind you might be able to contact somebody for help with it, right? So that's a way to take responsibility for something that you're not able to fix. What can you take responsibility for? It's a question. What comes up to you? Describe your daily schedule briefly. Your current daily schedule, and do the best you can. I realize there's different days of the week, but what do you do in the morning? What do you do in the afternoon? What do you do in the evening? Just throw it down as quick as you can. Your daily schedule right now. The perfect life is made up of perfect days. That's a quote, right? So when we get further into this, we're going to think about structuring perfect days because if we live out perfect days, we can live a perfect life. Okay, part two. This first one is optional, but I'm going to throw it out to you. Who are three people that inspired you? And describe one trait in particular of each of those people that you aspire to or would like to aspire to. Three people. They could be sort of heroic figures. They could be people that are close to you. They could be people you've never met before. Maybe like an Olympic athlete that you admire. Maybe a famous person. Maybe a famous musician. A famous, or maybe it's like your sister or your parent. And think about a trait that really inspires you that you aspire to. Okay, what areas in life do you need or want higher standards in? Where do you need better habits or standards? And in terms of the areas of life, this could be health, wealth, relationships, and or music, art. What areas do you need higher standards in? Just whatever comes up to you. Health, wealth, relationships, your practice. What are the promises you would like to honor every day? Or what are the promises you will honor every day? How will random strangers gossip about you when they see your new self? And who is the new self you want to become? I feel like those questions kind of go together, so I'm not sure which one to do first. How will random strangers gossip about you if they see your new self? And who is the new self you want to become? I'm just going to give you 10, 20 seconds to riff on that. This question actually goes really well with the other two. If you had all the time, money, freedom in the world, what would you do? What would you do on any given day, on one day, on a perfect day? If you had all the time, money, and freedom in the world. And this might inform those two other questions about who is the new self that you want to become and how will random strangers gossip about you. I feel like this is also very related. Describe your ideal day. If you've already done it, then never mind. Describe your perfect dream daily schedule. And as you're doing it, or if you're reviewing what you already put down for it, think which of those things could you actually do right now? Which of those things that you have described in your perfect ideal dream daily schedule could you implement right now? how would you implement those things into your life right now? Some of those things. And let's just take a second. If you want to make a promise right now that you're going to start to live the life you want, because you don't need to wait, you start to live it, and then all the things that you need will come. The money, the skills, the closeness in the relationship, the freedom. Because maybe, let's just say that maybe some of this is simply about making decisions and taking actions. Some of it. So just maybe take a second to reflect on that and actually make a promise to yourself that, like, because you might have just had a realization like, oh, I want to start doing this thing right now. Okay, part 3, gather evidence. So if you're, whether you're a musician, whether you're thinking about relationship, whether you're thinking about your health, whether you're thinking about making money and serving people in some business capacity, serving people as a professional musician, serving people as a teacher, serving people as a coach, I want you to gather evidence. Think about the evidence that you have that you can do that thing, that you're good at it. So in my case, as a teacher, and for anybody else who's a teacher, your evidence would be solid evidence of your students, the good things that you've helped them do. And if they've told you that, if they've given you a testimonial, or if they've reached landmarks because of your help, then gather that evidence. If they've written you a thank you letter, if it's, if you're talking about your health, then maybe proof is that at one time you could deadlift 250 pounds, and you think it's at least you could do 200 now if you put your mind to it. I don't know. I'm just guessing. If it's, if you're in a relationship and at one time that relationship was awesome, then gather evidence of how awesome it was. If it's about your practice and you're like, I don't know if I can go sit in and play a concert, then find evidence when you did. Find recordings, look back over the things you've done that prove your competence, that prove your ability. So if you collect this evidence, and you could make notes about it right here, but I think it would be great if you collected like some kind of board, some kind of collection, like a document that's just has tons and tons and tons of evidence. And start off with like 3 or 4 pieces of evidence and then just start to add to it all the time. The reason this is important is because we all feel imposter syndrome, or I think most humans feel imposter syndrome, I should say. There might be some people that fall into special categories of, I don't know if narcissists feel imposter syndrome. I don't know if like psychopaths feel like, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but you get what I'm saying. I think like typical people, we feel imposter syndrome. And so having this evidence is a really, really important thing. I feel imposter syndrome all the time, even running a workshop like this. But I have to go back and I have to see like the emails that I got from my students that said, hey, you helped me so much. And in the moment, I might be able to remember 1 or 2, but if I had a board where I stored them, I probably actually have several hundred, because I've been doing this for a long time. Right. And so you do too. You do too. And this is how you can maintain like a sense of confidence going forward. So part 4 is, can you hold on to this document that you've made just now? And can you revisit and restate and re-envision and re-articulate every day Why are you running this business? Or why are you taking on this relationship, this health goal? Why is it important to you to practice? How will it contribute to your vision and or goals? And why is it so important to execute at your highest potential today? The selfish reasons and the unselfish reasons. If you can come back to this and reflect on this every day for 5 minutes, and you just look at the document, but then also rephrase it. You're going to rephrase, like the way you answered the question today, it might change just a little bit tomorrow. You might add something, or you might just change a word or two. And that's important because we change every day. And there's different words that feed us more. I'll just go through a couple other things here. So, what is your goal? Or what are your goals? Now, if it's a business goal, then I would encourage you to write that in terms of the money you want to make and the time you want to spend working. And so that's like, is it 5,000 a month? Is it 2,000 a month? Is it 1,000 a week? Now, pro tip here, if you're not sure what the number is, I would actually base it off of your hard cold minimum. Like if you need, like, what do you need? If you need to make, $1,000 a week to pay your expenses, then I would start with that. And then I would maybe add something to it. It's like, but if you're not making that, then I would definitely put that as your goal because it's actually true. Like it's non-negotiable. If you don't know what your expenses are, then you need to go through every single expense, every single line item, and be 1,000% clear about what it is. I don't care if you go through your bank statements. I don't like whatever it takes. That is absolutely requisite to know like what you need. And that would be a starting point. Now, if you're already covered there and you're like, but I want to get to this and I know why, and I know, because it's going to save you time or for whatever reason, then put that number down. So the goal should be measurable. Um, if it's if it's a business goal, then that's why I said put it in terms of money and time. If it's not a business goal, I want to make sure it's measurable. So if it's practice or relationships, we need to, I think, Victor, maybe we need to make sure you're muted. Yeah, I'll go back. We want to make sure it's measurable. So if that's practice, then a measurable goal is not, I want to play better in tune. I mean, it could be, but it should be like even more specific. It should be like when I play the cadenza of the Tchaikovsky violin concerto, I want to raise the proportion of my in tune notes from what it is currently, which is 60% to 90%. And how do you know if it's 60%? Well, you record yourself and you listen back to an average performance and you count the amount of notes that are out of tune. I'm just saying, just hypothetically. And the same thing with rhythm. Like, I want to play with better rhythm. It's like, well, don't say that. Say, here's where my current rhythmic state is on the Tchaikovsky violin concerto. These many notes are out of rhythm and I want to improve that by this much. It should be measurable. I have a gig coming up in 6 months and I need to memorize 20 tunes. I'm going to memorize those 20 tunes such that I can play every arpeggio with good voice leading at a certain tempo on that tune without looking at the paper. That is a measurable goal. Standards in different ways. Um, Same thing with health. We can have measurable health goals, right? Obvious. I think that's pretty obvious. Like we can get our certain counts down, or we can get certain exercise. Yeah, I don't know. Measurable health goals. I think measurable relationship goals are important too. It's like, okay, do you want to spend 30 minutes quality time with your partner every day? That's like something that I am currently doing with my wife. We have set a goal that we are going to spend 30 minutes a day of quality time that does not involve any logistics or domestic business or other business, just quality time, right? So it's a very measurable goal. 30 minutes a day of quality time, specific, it's defined. Then next, it's an action plan. What is your action plan? Now, if this is a business thing, the action plan, I will tell you right now, it is always sales. It is not social media posting. It is sales. With very few exceptions, I might give you permission if you're a private client of mine and you meet certain tests. Jenny Peters might be an exception to this. I mean, she has some good marketing emails that she puts out, but she's been doing this for a while. But generally, I'm going to say your action plan is going to be some form of sales, specific sales. And if you're not sure what that means, then I would say just consider it one-to-one sales conversations. Whether those conversations are happening from email, DM, text message, in person, over the phone, sending somebody to a sales page, whatever. But basically, your action plan is always going to be some form of sales. You'll always want to start with that. And then after that, a close second might be certain types of marketing, only if and when they support directly sales. But for these other things, there could be obviously for your relationship, for your health, for your music, you could have a different action plan. And so that would be my next suggestion is, can you write down what your action plan is? And finally, we would have marketing if we were doing this for money. And marketing, I'll just say briefly, I usually encourage people to make sure if you're talking about marketing, you only talk about marketing after we've talked about sales. And marketing is always going to be the minimum viable assets necessary to support your sales. So you don't need a website, you might need a testimonials page. You don't need an album, you might need to have like a YouTube video or 3 YouTube videos showing you playing a ballad and playing an up-tempo tune and then playing like, a pop tune. You only need the minimum viable marketing materials that support your sales. You don't need a photo album. You might need 1 photo. Okay. So I think that's it. That is what I wanted to take you guys through. For anybody that's watching the recording later, should be a link so that you can go through the worksheet, and I encourage you to reach out and share whatever you would like with me